Hello, students, and welcome back as we finish up our notes on cell structures this week. And I hope you reviewed your notes from yesterday. In fact, I'm going to quiz you right now. Let's take a moment and go over the cell theory and the first three organelles that we mentioned yesterday. So you can pause me now and talk briefly about the cell theory and the first three organelles. Pause, please. All right, welcome back, and I hope you got them all correct. If not, you got some studying to do for Friday's quiz. So let's continue where we left off yesterday on number 4. The fourth organelle in cells is called, the really cool name, I love this, the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum, or ER for short. And hopefully you don't have to go to the ER emergency room after getting tongue-tied by trying to say endoplasmic reticulum. But let's look at some of this word here for a moment. Endo. Is there anyone here who knows what the prefix endo means? Call it out loud if you do. Endo means inside. So endoplasmic reticulum means something inside. We won't go over the other parts of the word right now, but remember that when you dissect a word, it helps you understand what the word is talking about. So don't be scared of big words. They're only words. Okay, but the endoplasmic reticulum, we'll call it the ER for short, is a transportation system that carries proteins from one part of a cell to another part of the cell. Now, when we say transportation network, you might think of like cars on a highway. That is not a bad analogy, actually. I should have had some cars here with me. So you can think of cars zooming up and down the road. And let's say you're a bird flying overhead looking down on cars. The cars are traveling within these networks that we call roads and highways, and they are pathways. They're supposed to stay within those roads in order to get from destination A to destination B. And hope they don't leak out on other places where they're not supposed to be driving, or they can cause an accident. Well, inside a cell, there's a different type of transportation system, and a hose is a really good analogy, I think, for this. So I have some rubber tubing here. And if I wanted to send a liquid-like material from one place to another and not have it leak all over, kind of like the plumbing in your house, like when you turn on a water faucet at home, you want the water coming into your sink or into your tub or into your toilet or somewhere else. You don't want it going all over the place. So your home has plumbing, pipes to get your liquids from one place to another. Well, inside cells, these endoplasmic reticulum are like a little plumbing system in a way. So if I wanted to get a liquid from one place to another, I could have a tube and force the tube, maybe with a syringe, through one end of the tube, and it would go through all of that tubing in a direct way from one place to another until eventually it could come out the other end of that tube. Wow, I guess I should have gotten a shorter tube here until eventually, there's the other end. All right, so it could go in one end of the tube, go out the other end of the tube, and travel throughout the tube without coming out of the tube altogether. Whew, you get the idea, right? So endoplasmic reticulum, the ER. Oh, speaking of ER, maybe this will help you remember. This tubing is actually can be used in like an IV in a hospital. Imagine a bag filled with blood up on a pole, and it drips down the tube through this endoplasmic reticulum into your body. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. So maybe you can think of the ER and this tubing to help you remember that the ER, endoplasmic reticulum, is like a little tube or a hose that is a transportation system carrying proteins from one place to another. Oh, excuse me, one moment. I'm back. Something fell off the table that I had to go get. Whew, I had to exercise my leg muscles to get this. Ooh, that was a foreshadowing of something to come. All right, now back to endoplasmic reticulum. Oops, wrong button. I'm all befuddled here. All right, so here is an actual picture of the endoplasmic reticulum inside a cell. And this, now remember, when you're looking in a microscope, you're only seeing things in two dimensions. It looks flat, but you have to remember that you're looking at something that does have three dimensions. So this picture here, this slide of the endoplasmic reticulum, it looks like flat zigzag pathway, but it's really three-dimensional and goes all around. So it's difficult to picture that perhaps. But here's another image of some endoplasmic reticulum going around and around and around, kind of like the tubes that I was showing you earlier. All right, let's move on to number 5. Number 5 are ribosomes. Ribosomes. The ribosomes, or the ribosomes, are the protein factories. Now, I mispronounced it on purpose there for a reason, because I figured some of you, if I said ribosomes, might think of a big robot. And big robots could be pretty powerful in like science fiction movies and might squash you. But ribosomes are the protein factories. And the protein factories are really important in making muscles. Here, check out my bulging bicep here. Here, hold on a second. There we go. Check this out. I am Hans, and I'm here to pump you up. All right, look at my big old muscle here. Whoa! Feel that muscle. Yes, I've got big muscles. No, I don't really have big muscles. I just have a little red squeezy ball in my arm sleeve there. But I could build up my finger muscles by squeezing this little stress ball over and over and over again. Now, why am I squeezing this ball over and over again? Well, it kind of looks like, well, it doesn't really look like a piece of meat, but imagine taking some hamburger meat and doing this with it. All right, maybe that's not a good example. All right, what I'm trying to get at here, folks, is that ribosomes are the protein factories and help you build up muscle. If you want to grow big and strong, then you have got to support the healthy growth of ribosomes in your cells, because that is where the protein is made, and it's the protein that builds muscle in your body. So ribosomes, ho, ho. Yeah, ribosomes, the protein factories of the cells. And in this picture, you can see the circles, the smaller dots here. Those are lots of ribosomes actually lining the endoplasmic reticulum. Because guess what? The endoplasmic reticulum, we'll go back there, carries proteins. You see that? Endoplasmic reticulum carries proteins. So in this picture of the endoplasmic reticulum, I'm like pointing to the screen. You can't see that. Are lots and lots of proteins traveling through it. All right, now let's get to the mighty mitochondria. The mighty mitochondria. I say mighty mitochondria because the mitochondria is like the powerhouse of the cell. A big battery, great example of a mitochondria. The mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, is what keeps the cell doing what it's doing from a energy point of view. If you were to remove the mitochondria from the cells, it wouldn't have enough energy to carry on any of its functions. So the mighty mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, is certainly an important organelle. And here is a close-up view of the mitochondria. And to me, I'm just looking for something here. To me, you know what they look like? To me, they look like little kidney beans. They look like little kidney beans to me, but obviously a lot smaller than kidney beans, because even kidney beans are made of cells, seeing as how they're from plants, and organelles are smaller than cells, and cells are smaller than an organism. So you get my point, right? The mighty mitochondria, little powerhouse of the cell. All right, boy, I'm getting thirsty. Give me a moment here. Woo-wee! Yummy water. This is a water bottle. Now, this is not a trick question. Please answer the following question. What is contained in this water bottle? Say it out loud. No, there's no water in this bottle. I just drank it all up. Right now, there's only air in this bottle. It's empty. But no, you're right. There's typically water in a water bottle. And if you've ever gone for a hike or a long walk, or maybe gone biking a long distance, I don't know, spending time outside. Do you do that anymore as kids? Do you guys spend any more time outside? Do you? I'm glad to see some of you are outdoors. But anyway, if it's a hot day and you're outdoors, you probably want one of these with you, because you can store water in it. And when you're thirsty, you drink it. Why? Because your body needs to stay hydrated, and you need to consume water. If you didn't consume water, you could die of dehydration. Well, all the way down on a cellular level, all the way down to individual cells, your cells need water to carry on the chemical activities like respiration, digestion, ingestion, and excretion as well. That happens on a cellular level, and it requires water in order for that to happen. Here's something else I want to mention. You probably, I hope, had breakfast this morning, or you had lunch today, or dinner the day before, and you have an organ in your body that holds on to that food temporarily until you digest it. Does anyone know what organ you have in your body that holds on to or stores your food until it's further digested? Yeah, your stomach. Your stomach. Well, in a way, vacuoles are the storage tanks or the stomachs of cells, because vacuoles hold on to food and water in order to allow the cell to process or digest it chemically. You want to have a backup supply. Think of a car for a moment. What fuels a car? Gasoline. And where is that fuel stored? In the gas tank. Well, some you might say, well, why not just put the gasoline into the engine? That's where it needs to be. Well, yeah, that's where the gasoline goes, that's for sure. But you can't continuously keep on pouring gasoline into the engine while you're driving it without storing it someplace. And if you don't store enough, guess what's going to happen? You're going to run out of gas as a car. And the same thing is true of the human body. If you don't eat and drink enough, your body is going to run out of fuel and you're going to stop working too. So make sure you have your breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. That being said, even our cells store food and water for later because we might not have a ready supply. I know some of you would probably want to eat constantly, day in and day out, but we don't do that. And so when we take food in, even our cells store it away for a little while until they actually need it. And it's the vacuoles in our cells that do that. Kind of like chipmunks. Think of chipmunks or squirrels where they put nuts in their mouth and they store the nuts until they get back to their nest, and then they spit out the nuts into their nest. Imagine their cheeks all puffed out like this, filled with nuts. That's again kind of the purpose of the vacuoles, these storage tanks for the cell. Ooh, that kind of hurt a little bit. All right, so here are some pictures of these vacuoles. You'll notice in this picture, there's a big central vacuole. Check out the other structures, by the way. The nucleolus inside of the nucleus. And you'll notice this other structure here, this line. Here's a quiz for you from yesterday. What kind of cell are we looking at here? And I'll make it multiple choice. Is it an animal cell or a plant cell, and why? Pause for a moment and answer and discuss that question. Okay, I'm back. And hopefully you said this must be from a plant cell because only plant cells have cell walls. And you're right, this is a plant cell. And by the way, there's another structure here that is also only found in plant cells, but we'll get to that in just a little while. All right, back to our slides. Number 8. Lysosomes. This is kind of cool, these lysosomes. Have any of you ever been told when you make a mess somewhere that your mother doesn't work here? Clean up after yourself? Raise your hand. Have you ever left a mess somewhere and someone told you your mother doesn't work here? Maybe you didn't understand the reason they said that, but the reason is so oftentimes it's poor mom at home that does all of the cleaning up at home. Do you have a mom that cleans up after you? Or someone else who cleans up after you? Well, lysosomes are the cleanup crew of your cells. You have little cleanup crews inside every cell of your body. And there's a way that I like to use to remember what lysosomes are. And I think of this. Hopefully you can see this. It's yellow packaging makes it somewhat transparent here. But these are, you probably see things like this around a lot lately with everything going on. These are Lysol disinfectant wipes. Let me put that right by the name there. Lysol. Do you see the first 4 letters? Lyso, L-Y-S-O. Lysol wipes are used to clean up things. Lysosomes are used to clean up things inside the cell. So lysosomes, the cleanup crew of every cell of our body. My only regret is that you can't take lysosomes out of your cells and actually put them to work and help them clean up your room or clean up the kitchen. You, as an organism, actually have to do that. I'll tell you what, I'll give anybody a bonus point here today if you go home and pretend to be a lysosome. And I would imagine most of your parents will be confused when you are busily cleaning up things in your home, whether it's your bedroom, the living room, the kitchen sink. Do something to clean up that you don't normally clean up, and have somebody at home question you, why are you feverishly cleaning up? And tell them it's because I'm pretending to be a lysosome. If you can do that at home and report back to me tomorrow, I'll give you a bonus point for pretending to be a lysosome. So good luck tonight trying to be a lysosome. And in this picture here, these smaller structures within the cell, these are the lysosomes kind of going around and wiping things up, so to speak, and cleaning up the inside of the cells. Get rid of the nasty stuff. All right, next one, number 9. Number 9 are chloroplasts. The chloroplasts, make a note of this, they are also only found in plant cells. Chloroplasts are not found in animal cells. I used to think, how cool would it be if I could have chloroplasts inside me, and every time I got hungry, just put my hand out a window into the sun and gather some sunlight and be like, yum, yum, yum. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen with us. But chloroplasts are the energy producers and the food producers inside plant cells. In a way, they are like solar panels. Solar panels. Oh, that's kind of neat, the reflection here of these solar panels. Solar panels, make electricity if they're on your home or on your calculator or on other devices. Well, chloroplasts are kind of like the solar panels in that they take sunlight energy and they convert it into other forms of energy. Now, in the case of plants, they take sunlight energy and convert it into chemical energy in the form of food that we consume or ingest. We eat the food energy, the chemical energy that plants produce from chloroplasts. So even though we don't have chloroplasts in our body's cells, we definitely depend upon them because we all have to eat something in order to stay alive. And that stuff we eat ultimately is produced through chloroplasts. So here's some pictures of chloroplasts, and check out all of these green spherical structures. They're all chloroplasts inside plant cells, which, by the way, notice the cell walls here. The cell walls are only found in plant cells also. All right, that brings us to number 10. Number 10 is called cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the jelly-like material inside a cell. And I like to think of jelly beans. Does anybody like jelly beans? Anybody like jelly beans? Have any of you ever taken a jelly bean and bit it in half and looked at the inside? They're filled with a jelly-like material that is kind of like cytoplasm. Now, here I have a box of gelatin, and this gelatin is used to make, gelatin, also known as Jello, Jello. Watch it wiggle, see it jiggle. Jello, or gelatin, is even closer to what cytoplasm is like, which is why in younger grade levels, maybe some of you made models of a cell using Jello to put things into, because the Jello is like the cytoplasm in a cell. All right, so moving right along, here are some pictures to show you. And in this particular cell, all of the lighter colored area here, I'm trying to show you here. Ooh, all this lighter colored area here and here and here, all of that is not empty space, but it is cytoplasm. It's cytoplasm. It is jelly-like material inside of which all of these other organelles are contained. In fact, if it weren't for the cytoplasm, these other organelles that we've been reviewing yesterday and today would have no place to be. They'd just be kind of rolling around inside an empty cell, and, well, golly, the cell would be dead. So the cytoplasm is essential in not only providing the structure for the cell, kind of like say a water balloon. You know, putting water inside a balloon gives it its shape. Putting the cytoplasm inside a cell gives it its shape. You suck out the water from a water balloon and the balloon just kind of wrinkles up to nothing. Likewise with a cell. If you remove all the cytoplasm from a cell, it'll shrivel up, kind of like a grape turns into a raisin when it dries out. There's a lot of moisture in that cytoplasm that retains the shape of the cell. So it is really important to have in there. Now, here's some examples of, these cells are cool. These are paramecium. These are living one-celled organisms filled with cytoplasm inside. We'll check those out later on. So I just want to end today with some diagrams of typical plant cells and animal cells. So here is a typical plant cell, and I want you to raise your hand if you can tell me what two cell structures are found in plant cells that are not found in animal cells. Nice job. The cell wall and the chloroplasts. They are only found in plant cells, not in animal cells. So here's a typical animal cell. You will see that it is not surrounded by a cell wall, and there are no chloroplasts inside animal cells. As much as I would like them in my cells, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. So here, a couple of the same diagrams compared to one another. I like these following two pictures of a typical plant cell and a typical animal cell. If ever we get back to our actual laboratory, I got posters, big posters in the back of the room showing these two examples of typical plant cells. And this is a great diagram. Look at this big vacuole in the middle. And again, we've got the cell wall, and we've also got chloroplasts. Two key pieces of information that tell you that this is a plant cell and not an animal cell. By the way, remember that for tomorrow's lab activity also, because we're going to be examining actual cells. And here's typical animal cell. And again, notice that the animal cell lacks the cell wall and the chloroplast. So there we are. We have finished our list of the 10 common cell structures that we call organelles. That should complete our notes for today. Tomorrow, we are going to perform a lab activity comparing and contrasting plant cells and animal cells. So we will finish things up tomorrow with our topic on cell structures. But for today, allow me to say bye-bye.